As Devember Day 4 draws to a close, it's time to jump in with a devlog for what happened this day in YouTuberizer. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Oda Nerd here. Welcome to the devlog update for Devember 4th. Let's go ahead and jump into Sublime Merge where we can see the last commit from yesterday's live stream where we did some refactoring of things and made things a little cleaner. If you haven't seen that live stream yet, you probably might want to check into the stuff that we had in there. It was a pretty good stream. We went long once again. But what happened today? Well, today it was a little bit more of a shorter day because I have some work to do to get the Monday video on the other channel ready to go. So for the next few days, we're really going to be riding really close to the just slightly over an hour's worth of development time on these Devember days until I get everything all finalized up, and we will be good to go and rolling back into the week again. So today was all about clarifying the code that we're using to talk to the YouTube API. So this was a little bit of investigation into the documentation for the API because all of the requests that have existed in the package up until now have largely been from an example of how to use the Google API. It showed a thing for how to get the information for the playlist of uploads on a channel and how to get the information on a video and everything else I extrapolated from there from those first principles. So we're really cleaning this thing up now. So I did spend some time looking through and actually seeing for each of the requests what it is we actually want to send in that thing to get the information that we like. So in that regard, levels of code not super high, but understanding of what's going on behind the scenes much higher. As we can see, there's 4 commits for today, and realistically, that could have been 2 commits. But I like to do these sorts of things in a little bit of a piecemeal fashion. So the first thing that we did was clarify returns of errors from the YouTube API, and we can actually see that right here if we look at this. What we used to do is display the return back in case of an error, just a string version of what the error actually is, which basically just gives you information like unavailable or something, and that's all you get. But there's actually an error object that's returned. So now we are returning that value directly. And if we were to jump over to the core, we can see how things have changed here. There used to be a longer error message saying what the request was and what the error message was. Now we can instead do that a little bit differently and say that there's an error in a particular request. Here's the error and also an error code. And we could expand this out even more as a result of making this change as well. The display equals true here causes the log command to actually open the output panel at the bottom of the window. So there's a little bit more information in there about the error that tells you exactly what different bits of the request you asked for and why it failed and such, generally like authorization denied. So that's something that we can do going forward into the future a little bit. This also showcases something else that happened here. Way back, I added this Dotty library, and we'll go ahead and redact that back up because we can see what we're doing here is calling Dotty on the result of asking the error's content to decode itself because it's binary bytes, it's JSON. We convert it to a JSON string, or from a JSON string to a dictionary, I should say, and then call Dotty on it. This Dotty library, actually a pretty handy little thing, and we can see exactly kind of what it does for us right here. This is actually a dictionary, but it has an extended get key method that allows for dotted access because a lot of these data structures are kind of deeply nested, or at least more than a couple levels of deep nesting. And doing that with multiple sets of brackets is a little bit uncomfortable. But here we can actually just go ahead and grab stuff out just like this. So that's the first thing we did. The remainder of these changes all have a very similar bent to them. For each one of the requests, this one is channel details. We actually looked into what actual bits of information we could ask for, document them here, saying exactly what they are. We can see the list was updated. And again, we are returning a Dotty of the first item in this thing. which is similar to what was happening here before, but the variable names have been tightened up a little bit. This is the only one that was using Dotty previously. It was the thing that I implemented when I first threw that library in. So now we know exactly what each of these things is actually getting us. And similarly for the other ones, we did the same sort of thing. Now here, this is another example of how there was code that was used to exist in here that necessarily doesn't need to anymore. For example, there used to be an uploads playlist thing. This was from the original example. It gets the actual value of the playlist for videos that have been uploaded to a channel, right? And um, after that, that was the very first thing that I did as a proof of concept. After that, we implemented this playlist contents so that you could ask it, what's the contents of this particular playlist? I want to do something with it. Just as sort of a more general way to do this. And as a result, this and this do the same thing. This one takes a hard-coded playlist detail and ID, rather, I should say, which comes from channel details, and this one just asks you to specify it. Now, we didn't, at the time I wrote this, didn't have this channel details thing here, so now we actually have the ability to get this stuff. So again, we can see we're using Dotty on the responses here, and returning the information. That method goes away, and down here in playlist contents, we've fleshed this out a little bit because there's more things we want to know about this. And we can even see content details is giving us video IDs and publish time. Status is telling us whether this video is private, public, or unlisted. And ID is giving us an ID value for this video, which is not the same as a video ID. This is actually an incorrect thing here. This is a unique item here. So we did that, and then lastly, there was one more thing to clean that up on, and that was the video details as well. Does the exact same thing, and this one required a little bit more work because previously this was returning a dictionary with very specific items out of the snippet, and now it just returns the result of this request directly. So in the place where the command is being used, it has to be changed a little bit. And those ones required a little bit more work. And that's really all that was done for this particular day in Devember. We're going to kick off tomorrow with doing a little bit more work into this area because a lot of these requests should take more things. The video details, for example, should take not just a single video ID, that would probably be this one over here, but a list of video IDs because you can get more than one thing out of this. And similarly, you should be able to specify the part if you want is part of the request, and maybe there'll be a default there because one of these things is information on views, likes, and dislikes. Maybe we want to display that in a quick panel. So we're going to jump into that in tomorrow's stream. But until then, or sorry, not tomorrow's stream, tomorrow's Devember, there's not going to be a stream until Tuesday, particularly because I got a video to do on the other channel, which of course is linked down in the description below. We're going to be doing some plugin 101 on the other channel. So until tomorrow's devlog devlog update of the non-live stream content. I really want to say live stream because I'm having a lot of fun with it. This is ODAT Nerd pointing out that no, I'm not doing any editing in these devlogs. This is just raw one take. Have a sublime day.